The axe froze mid-swing, and for a man like Malachi Brooks, that meant something was badly wrong. Because for 3 years he hadn't let anything stop him. Not storms, not wild animals, not the rare lost traveler who wandered into his patch of mountain. His life had boiled down to one rule: swing until sundown, speak to no one, trust nothing that moved. But now there were two small figures standing at the edge of his clearing, still as statues, twins by the look of them, no older than 8, their clothes torn, their faces streaked with dirt or maybe dried tears. And the strangest part wasn't that children had found him way out here in the middle of nowhere. The strangest part was the leather pouch they held between them, each gripping one side like their lives depended on it, steam rising from it, even though the morning air was sharp enough to show your breath. That pouch was too clean, too valuable for orphans who looked like they'd been running for days. Malachi lowered his axe completely for the first time in years, and the way those children stared at him made his chest tighten, not with fear, not with hope, but with recognition, like they'd come looking for him. The girl stepped forward, hand locked with her brothers around that impossible pouch, and her voice carried across the clearing as if she'd known him her whole life. "We know what you did to our father." The axe hit the dirt because Malachi had never seen these children before, and yet their words rattled something inside him, something he had spent years burying. "I don't know what you're talking about," he rasped. But when the boy spoke, the man with the scar on his neck, the one who screamed when you held him under, Malachi's hand shot to his own throat, to the thin white line he'd always told himself was from a falling branch. Their eyes lit with grim certainty as they saw him touch it, and the girl said softly, "Good, because we need you to do it again." That was the moment Malachi felt the mountain press in like a prison cell, because he didn't kill anymore, if he ever had, and the fragments of a memory came at him like broken glass. Dark water, a man's desperate voice, a weight going limp. Before he could make sense of it, hooves echoed through the trees and the twins melted into the shadows, clutching that pouch, just as Sterling Maddox rode into the clearing, all polished boots and silver saddle, smiling that merchant smile that never reached his eyes. "What do you want, Maddox?" Malachi demanded, but the merchant's words froze him colder than the mountain wind. "Two native children, twins, carrying something that belongs to me, something their father stole before his accident." Accident. The word rang like a bell, because it hadn't been an accident. Malachi knew that now. He'd been there at the creek, and the fragments were starting to fit together. Sterling pressed closer, waving a legal claim, smirking as he called the children his property. But Malachi's body moved before his mind did, catching Sterling's wrist before he could draw his pistol. Recognition flashed in the merchant's eyes. "That's how you did it, isn't it? That's how you killed their father." And damn it, he was right. Malachi remembered now. Jacob Running Bear, a man who'd been about to sell his own children into slavery, or so Malachi thought then, and he had stopped him by force, but the children whispered from the shadows, "He was trying to save us, not sell us. And now you must stop Sterling before it's too late." The tension broke when the twins stepped back into the light, pouch in hand, and Sterling reached again for his gun, but Malachi held him fast. The girl looked straight at him with eyes far older than her years and said, "Our father made you promise something before he died. Do you remember?" And like a landslide the memory came, Jacob's dying whisper, "Take care of them. Don't let Sterling win." Malachi heard himself answer out loud, "I promise to protect you." Sterling laughed like glass breaking, called him a murderer, but the boy's quiet voice cut through it. "Our father was dying anyway. He made a choice." And then the girl opened the pouch. Inside wasn't treasure, wasn't a map, just gray ash, scattering on the wind. "The mine information burned 3 days ago. This is all that's left." Sterling's face twisted purple with rage as the truth sank in, and his pistol finally cleared leather, aimed straight at Malachi's chest. That was the turning point, because Sterling had cards of his own. He hissed Jacob Running Bear's name like a curse, threatened to expose Malachi as his killer, and in that heartbeat Malachi knew he had only one choice: protect his secret or protect the children. He looked into the girl's eyes and saw trust, absolute trust, and he chose. "Funny thing about secrets," he said, stepping forward even with the barrel on him. They only have power if you're afraid of them. The gun thundered, fire searing his shoulder, but Malachi kept moving, his massive hands closing around Sterling's throat, bellowing for the children to run. But they didn't run. Instead, the girl raised her voice in her native tongue, and from the forest came the pounding of hooves. Warriors, painted for battle, led by Iona Running Bear, Jacob's sister, fury blazing in her eyes. What followed was a collision of truths that twisted everything again. Sterling choking on Iona's knife, warriors circling, federal cavalry riding and led by Captain Morrison, and suddenly the clearing became a courtroom without walls. Morrison shocked them all by pulling a warrant, not for the natives, but for Sterling, murder, fraud, illegal mining. And then came the revelation that broke Malachi open. The night at the creek hadn't been murder at all. Jacob Running Bear had been a federal informant, a decorated veteran playing the most dangerous role of his life, and Malachi had carried out his final orders, giving him the death he demanded to protect his children and his people. For 3 years, Malachi had thought himself a killer hiding in the mountains, but now he understood. He had been an instrument of justice. Weeks later, as the mountain cleared of soldiers and surveyors, as Sterling rotted in chains and the tribe reclaimed its land, Malachi found himself no longer alone. The twins visited with their Aunt Iona, bringing a letter written in Jacob's careful hand. "If you're reading this, my children are safe and my mission complete. The mountain has been your prison too long. It's time to live among people again. If you will have them, they would be honored to call you family." Malachi folded that letter and felt the weight lift from his chest, heavier than any tree he had ever felt. And when Cora Lane rode up with an offer to teach practical skills in the Valley Schoolhouse, with a house in town and a place in the community, Malachi looked one last time at the clearing where his past had chained him, then at the children who had given him a future, and asked simply, "When do I start?" Now, maybe that's where you think the story ends, neat and tidy, justice served and purpose restored. But let me tell you, nothing about that mountain was ever neat. Nothing about promises or secrets or land that powerful men covet is ever tidy. Because Sterling's last words still echo, there are bigger players in Washington, men who don't let go of riches that easily. So I'll leave you with this. Was Malachi Brooks truly free, or had he just stepped from one battlefield into another war waiting over the horizon? You tell me. So, what do you think? Was Malachi a murderer who stumbled into redemption, or a man who always carried justice without knowing it? Did Jacob Running Bear sacrifice himself wisely, or did he drag everyone into a game that can never end? Drop your thoughts below, because justice, promises, and the weight of history, they're never as simple as one man's axe swing. You know what I mean?